Today, we're going to be helping our friends at Mad Viking Beard to make $10,000 in 10 minutes time. Pat from Intergrowth here. We're back with our latest e-commerce SEO and AEO audit series, where we take 5 to 10 minutes to break down the biggest SEO and AEO related opportunities for our friends in the e-commerce space. Today, we're looking at our friends Mad Viking Beard. We're going to walk through some of the biggest opportunities that are standing out to us from our initial 15-minute audit that we put in prior to this recording. So the first place that we're going to start is looking at one of their PDPs, one of their product description pages. Specifically, we're looking at one of their beard washes. Now, the first thing that we uncovered when we looked at this page, and we've seen this hold true for many other pages on the website, is the issue of core web vitals. Stripping away the complex terminology, it's really just a fancy way of saying how fast does a website load and how positive is the user experience while the website's loading and afterwards. So we ran a core web vitals audit specifically for this sample product page. We looked at a few other pages as well. Results are very similar across the board. We can see when we look at site performance, we get a 27 out of 100 in terms of core web vitals. Now, some of the big things that really stand out when we look through this and look through these different audit fields is ultimately, one, there is a huge opportunity to shrink down image file sizes and increase the speed at which they load. The two biggest opportunities to do this are going to be, one, converting images on the site from their standard format, which is in most cases going to be a JPEG or a PNG image file, to what's referred to as a WebP image file. These are in essence a faster way of loading images and drastically improve site load times. Images tend to be one of the largest file size elements on web pages, so converting images to WebP is a really straightforward way to boost your site speed. Unfortunately, within Shopify websites, there's some great free plugins that you can work with that make it really straightforward to do this. Within that same realm is going to be image compression, or just reducing the file size of some of these images. Now, we see this really often with product pages where we have really high-res images, they're super high-quality photos. That being said, those photos can oftentimes slow down the site. So running this image compression and converting images to WebP is going to drastically improve those site speed numbers. It's going to help with rankings and AI visibility. More importantly, though, it's actually going to drastically boost conversion rates because it's going to get the page loading way faster. Less people are going to be leaving the site if it takes too long to load, and it's going to be a win across the board. Within that, we're also going to see when we look in here, there's going to be this element called LCP, largest contentful paint, which is ultimately one of the big elements that's looked at. We can look at it as like the largest file related item at the top of the page. Now, LCP, or the largest contentful paint for this specific product page, is going to be this image right in here. I believe that was the product photo that was coming in the mix right there. Now, we can see when we look at this element, LCP request discovery, which is really just auditing how quickly is the browser able to load this particular image. We can see one item in here that fetch priority equals high should be applied. This is a really straightforward one line of code that you can put in the mix within this image file that is going to ultimately get the browser to load this image before other elements on the site. So adding this in as a simple line of code, you can build it directly into the PDP template, and it's going to fix the issue across the board. Same thing is going to apply for the home page. We flagged that one in particular as well. Where do we have LCP in here? LCP request discovery. So we can see same thing here. We have this one image file that is listed as the LCP on the site. We can also see it's a JPEG image file. So converting that to WebP and then also applying this fetch priority equals high is going to drastically improve that site speed. Similarly, on product pages, there's another theme that we noticed when we were looking at the sitemap files on the site. So we pulled up one of the sitemap files right here. This is sitemap_pages_1. When we look through here, there are a whole bunch of what I'd refer to as developer pages on the website. One great example is this biotin beard wash ingredients page, which just looks just like this. Really, it's just call it a one paragraph snippet of copy. In and of itself, that's fine. It's not ideal if that's indexed. But what we have in here is when we look over at this page, we see that when we scroll through some of these accordion sections right here, that exact same copy is already appearing on this product page. I'd imagine that exact same copy is appearing on several other pages on the site, We noticed the same trend when we looked at the hoodie size chart right in here, which is also indexed as a standalone page. And this copy lives identically on this individual hoodie page right in here, right in this size chart section. So Jason, what I would recommend within this is update the site so that these pages are set to no index, no follow, or just no index within this. Whole bunch of great Shopify apps that will make it really straightforward to do that. So you don't have to go into the theme elements and modify that on a page specific level. But highly recommend no index these pages. Really, it's just going to save crawl budget for the site and make sure that search engines and LLMs are spending their resources auditing more valuable pages. Now, from there, next big thing that really stood out to us is going to be, let's pull it up, it's going to be looking at the blog. So Mad Viking Beard has put a ton of resources over the years into creating some really exceptional educational content. That content ranks extremely well in traditional search engines. And judging by the third-party metrics that we're going off of, we don't have access to their Shopify analytics. We don't have access to their Google analytics to verify this. But judging by the analytics tools that we do have at our disposal, tools like Ahrefs, we can look into their site. We can see this one sample blog article. It's bringing about 6,000 people to their website every month from search engines like Google. So right off the bat, I'd love to see them update this 2024 to 2026, or even just remove the year entirely. That's certainly going to ding rankings to a small degree if there is newer content in the mix that they're competing against. But more importantly than traffic, I want to highlight the conversion potential here. Now, right now within the blog template, there is a CSS related setting for links that makes it, in my opinion, very difficult to distinguish regular text from linking text or anchor text. A really great example is if we scroll down here, we are going to see when we get into some of these product descriptions right in here, we have this link right here, Barber Grade Scissors, which links out to their scissors product page. As a user, I have a really hard time finding this link on the page. And this is someone who was very deliberately looking for a link to this specific product when I got to this section right here. There is a really, really slight underline that's slightly visible under this. And then if you hover over it, certainly it pops up as a more visible link. Jason, I'd love to see you guys update this in some manner. One idea is even if it's just bolding hyperlinks, if there's a slight change in font color that comes into the mix, italicizing, anything along those lines, that's going to make it easier for a human being to distinguish this. Again, that's not going to directly impact rankings. What it is going to do, though, is it's going to take way more of these 6,000 readers who are coming to this page every month. It's going to get way more of them to click on these actual product page links and end up making a purchase. So I'd love to see you guys do it. Again, not because it's going to help AEO or SEO visibility, but because you're going to get way more revenue from that visibility that's already coming in the door. Next thing I always love to look at is broken backlinks. Caveat I want to give here, we see 1,400 broken backlinks coming up in the mix. Most of that is trash. Ignore that. No need to panic, Jason. There are a handful of links that are worth recovering, though. We have this one podcast episode that's highlighted right in here. We have a product page that's linked to right in here that leads to a 404. A few other pages here from this mild.com website that would be really great just to redirect either one to the next closest page on the site, or two, at the very least, redirect them to a collections page, a PLP. But there are a handful of links in here. I think it was 4 or 5 that I counted in total. That would be really great to recover that link equity from. I'd love to see you guys redirecting those links. Last two themes we're going to get into today, because I suspect we've already gone over on time. I know myself pretty well at this point. One of the big things that stood out to me is if we look at the schema markup that's built into the site, there are a lot of opportunities to expand the schema markup in here. Now, taking this with a grain of salt, there's a lot of misconceptions about schema. I love to talk about same as schema, which ultimately connects the dots for search engines and large language models to tell them all the different entities on the internet that are associated with the same brand that your website is, and help them to connect the dots between all those so that each of those individual entities ranks far higher in Google. You ultimately get to consolidate the trust signals that have come from each of those individual properties. Here's what I mean. On Instagram alone, Mad Viking Beard has somewhere around 50,000 followers right now. If we look at the schema markup for the site, there's very little in here. There's not any information about what is the name of the company. There's Is there a logo? There is a logo listed in here. We can see we have a website in here. There's no information about the address, how long they've been in business, anything of that sort. But more importantly, there's no context into what are those social profiles that are connected to this overarching brand. Now, oftentimes search engines are able to connect the dots. They're able to figure out that this Instagram profile is associated with the same brand as this website. But why not make it a little bit easier for them by just adding in those couple lines of code? For adding in same as schema, adding in things like the YouTube channel, the Instagram link, all those things, it's going to help search engines. It's going to help LLMs to better understand the brand. 9 times out of 10, it's going to lead to a really positive bump in rankings if you have a really reputable social profile or series of social profiles. Jason, you guys have a huge following online, so I'd really recommend you guys do this. It's a huge opportunity. Would love to see that happen. Now, the last thing I wanted to get into today is what I would refer to as the discount code revenue recovery. Let's go with that. Mad Viking Beard does have an affiliate program. We scroll down to the bottom of the website, we can see the affiliate portal right here. Now, when I see that, one of the big opportunities that stands out to me is I love searching for phrases like insert brand plus discount code. So here, Mad Viking Beard discount code, Mad Viking Beard promo code, you name it. What we're going to see here is a whole bunch of these other brands that I would assume have built affiliate relationships with Mad Viking Beard that are now ranking at the very top of Google, claiming to have all these unique promo codes, claiming that they have the best promo code out there. Now, here, first of all, any of these people that are driving sales through these product pages aren't directly contributing any revenue, I would argue, to the Mad Viking Beard website. Really what they're doing is they're taking all sorts of users who are already aware of Mad Viking Beard, are already pretty sure that they're ready to make a purchase, but want to figure out how they can get that purchase at the lowest cost possible, whether it's a 10, 20, 30% discount. So one, these brands are not helping with discovery at all. Really what they're doing is they're taking people who are pretty sure they're going to buy from Mad Viking Beard, and they're collecting a little percentage of every one of those sales. So we can look through here. We can see a couple of these different codes that are coming up in the mix. This brand claiming to have 75% off. That seems pretty unlikely, but who knows? So one, best case scenario is these brands take 5-10% of sales from all of these searchers, and then you get the same amount of sales at the end of the day. The worst case scenario is that people click on these affiliate links, the links don't work, they get frustrated because they feel like they were promised some sort of discount, and now that discount doesn't exist. So now they have a slightly negative perception of the Mad Viking Beard brand, and maybe they don't end up making a purchase in the future. If they're really upset, maybe they discourage other people from making a purchase, but let's not go that extreme. The opportunity that I would love to see happen for Mad Viking Beard is to roll out their own discount code page. They already have a military discount code page on the website. That's a phenomenal starting point. I'd love to see if there are 2, 3, 4 codes that you regularly give out to email subscribers, to loyal customers, anything of that sort, to first-time purchasers, to have a dedicated page on the website that attempts to rank for themes like Mad Viking Beard promo codes, Mad Viking Beard discount codes, and treat it as a coupon page on your website. Only obviously show coupons that you're totally comfortable with users signing up for, but treat it as a tool that's going to help you to rank extremely well on Google and recover a lot of these sales from these other brands that are kind of just poaching a bit of revenue every time someone clicks on one of these links. The downside is obviously you're going to have certain users who are going to find those pages that are going to end up getting that 10% off discount, and maybe they would have bought from you either way. But I'd argue these users who are searching for these discount codes are likely generating way more lost sales, and this would be a phenomenal. But with that, we'll wrap up today's session. Jason, reach out, let me know your thoughts, feedback, questions, concerns, you name it. Once again, listeners, if you are interested in having us audit your e-commerce store from an AEO and SEO perspective, reach out to us, audits@intergrowth.com. Once again, audits@intergrowth.com. Don't forget to subscribe, give us a thumbs up if you found this helpful, and we'll see you guys next time.